Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and today, is it too soon to start talking about even the next generation? Okay, so this is a pretty interesting topic that is, again, kind of one of the more theoretical discussions that I like to have every once in a while. This did come about due to a quote that Mark Cerny of Sony just recently made when discussing the fact that it seems like other people are already sort of talking about the next generation, if there even would be a generation that would happen after this current one, should there be one, is this the last actual physical console cycle, stuff like that. And he revealed a pretty interesting quote that I happen to agree with 110%. This is really quickly the quote that he said. He says, "What's amazing to me is how quickly this has changed, right? You go back 2 years, consoles are dead, and Sony's a dinosaur to be releasing one, if you talk to certain analysts. You go back 1 year, and wow, it's so exciting to have a new console. But now you're going, but they're dead again. So," and that is literally how he ends this quote. And that's kind of a pretty interesting take, because I think he brings up some really good, valid points. There has been this very interesting, long kind of back and forth conversation about the whole idea. And I know that a lot of it comes from the fact that we live in this internet kind of live streaming digital age, which is very true. There's a lot of gameplay and movie content and TV content and stuff that comes to us from myriad different sources. I mean, we all have probably a couple different apps, for example, on our phones and our devices, like our Xbox. You know, my Xbox, PlayStation, and Wii U all have all these different apps: Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Plus, and there's another, HBO Go. I mean, things like this, which, you know, and these are all good things that I'm certain, you know, a lot of us use, and I will totally admit to using a couple of them. But these kinds of things, you know, and even like On Live, which is a very failed but still high-profile gaming streaming service that tried its hand a year or two ago, plus with the upcoming PlayStation Now, you know, those things kind of speak to the gaming side. These things, while they kind of have their place, what they are doing is creating this idea and wonder in a lot of people's heads, and even for some people, fear, which is kind of what I have. But they're creating this idea that we should have this conversation. When will physical gaming consoles go away, and are we currently in the last form of those? So I feel like what I mostly want to get across in this video today is that I definitely understand, like hopefully most of you do, that at some point we're going to have to face the facts, and we will probably see these physical boxes go away. PlayStation Now is kind of a good example. I've actually talked about this as actually one of the few good things I like about PlayStation Now, but it could become one of the earliest seeds planted to create this unfortunate future that we know is all coming at some point. PlayStation Now has this admittedly cool concept, this service that it has, where if you don't have a PS3 or a PS4, but you have a Sony Smart TV and a DualShock controller, you can still use PlayStation Now and have your games streamed to your device. So again, that's cool right now in today, 2014, with the brand new PlayStation Now set to come out, you know, where most people still have PlayStation devices. But that kind of concept could be where we go to in the future. If we ever have a future where there are no consoles, that is an example of how one would do it. I mean, it could literally be the TVs, or, you know, I mean, I don't even know what it would end up being. Maybe Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft don't become consoles, they become apps. You download the Nintendo app to play your Nintendo Wii U 5.67D or whatever all these new consoles end up being called down the road, and it's literally just that. So it's definitely going to be happening. We have to face the facts. But I definitely, first and foremost, don't want it to happen ever. I would like to imagine that, hey, maybe we would never end up losing the physical boxes, the actual consoles, and have to do this streaming-only thing. You know, I certainly support streaming as an option, but as far as it becoming the norm and the only choice, I hope that it never happens. And then further to that point, the real crux of what I'm trying to get at, just with my personal opinion, is that I don't think that this is going to be the last console generation. This Wii U, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, I don't think it's going to be the last console generation. It could. It really, honestly, to tell you the truth, guys, it could become the last. Maybe even for one or two of the guys. Maybe like just Sony and Microsoft don't have physical boxes next time, but Nintendo does, or any combination of the three. But it's, I mean, yes, it could become the beginning of the end, but I don't really think it is. I feel like, again, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft will all have another machine after this. There's been another conversation and some more quotes and theories that I've read in researching this and everything Mark Cerny said that I also thought was pretty interesting, talking about the fact that a lot of people don't think that this current console generation is going to be as long as the last one. And that's an interesting thing to talk about because very famously, Sony and Microsoft, excuse me, those are the only two companies that really had this theory that they initially wanted their machines to be out for 10 years. They wanted a 10-year life out of the PS4 and Xbox One, respectively. And that's becoming more and more obvious that that is not going to be the case. The PC market and how it's very much like directly matched up and tied to those consoles, and those consoles very much are trying to compete with the PC market. Like, they're never going to be able to do so and maintain a 10-year life cycle. Like, those systems are not going to be out for 10 years like they wanted. Probably 5, which would make it shorter than the last console. Nintendo is always of course, they are always the unique presence in this scenario. It's one of the reasons I love them the most. Some people don't like this about them, and that's fine too, I understand. But I like this about them. They keep themselves in their own little scenario where the Wii U honestly doesn't have to be concerned about changing itself up too much, provided it becomes more successful, which I think it will be. If it becomes successful enough, I don't think that the way technology might change would affect when it has to change its console. It's more about when the games run out and people feel like a new one's going to be necessary. Sony and Microsoft, again, if they're trying to compete with what the PC market does, and the PC is ever changing and only faster, they'll never keep up with the 10-year console like I was saying a minute ago. They're probably going to do it sooner. So overall, I feel like, so let me think. So the Wii U came out 2012. PS4, Xbox One, 2013. I feel like by 2018 or 19, we might be hearing talks of all 3 consoles in their next systems. Maybe even sooner, maybe 2018. That really could even be happening. I think that that's a crazy thought. I mean, shit, if it was 2017, that's 5 years for the Wii U right there. And I think the Wii and the PS3 had 6-year life cycles, even though it feels like longer. Do the math. I mean, well, okay, I guess the PS3 technically had a 7-year life cycle, but the Wii went from 2006 to 2012. That is 6 years, and it felt like a lot longer, but that's all that was. So the Wii U could very conceptually have a 5-year life cycle, and a very successful one at that, and same with the other systems. The PS3 and the Xbox 360 had very long lives, 7 and 8 years. That's probably the longest of any single console generation ever. So congratulations to them. They really did well, and they're even still being supported today, which is really crazy. So, I guess there's a lot to consider. I mean, even if you look at that exact fact, what happens if in a couple years we do get a new PlayStation, Xbox, and Wii? And what if still the current systems do also continue to get supported into that next generation, the way the PS3 and the 360 are right now? And if so, where do you draw the line of the end of one generation and the beginning of another? I mean, it's a really, really interesting topic. I definitely have to say, going back to the initial quote and the initial concept of Mark Cerny and his quote and what he's trying to say, he's right. This console generation has just begun. We're taking baby steps. We're a year and a half into the Wii U, and we're almost not even a year into the PS4 and Xbox One. These systems, all 3 of them, are babies. They're brand new. We need to give them time to breathe. We need to just be excited about this new generation. Sit back, relax, delve into it, immerse ourselves into it, accept it, love it for the potential it's going to have. I do think that Sony and Microsoft need to figure out their game libraries and their ultimate messaging going forward. I know the Wii U may have struggled with sales, but I feel like that system is still a more complete idea and identity of what it wants to do and how to be successful. I feel like the PS4 and Xbox One, even though the PS4 has been massively successful sales-wise, I feel like its vision may end up holding it back if it doesn't get rerouted and straightened out soon. And I think it will. I like Sony. I believe in their PlayStation brand, so I think it will do that. But I think that it hasn't yet done that, so they need to do that soon. Same with Microsoft. And then those systems are going to be awesome. All the systems have so much potential, and I just don't want, I don't want to play the sequel baiting thing that we do with movies where the week before a brand new movie comes out, we're already thinking about the next one. I mean, people were talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 3 in the weeks leading up to Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it's like, dude, guys, Spider-Man 2 hadn't even come out yet. We hadn't even seen it. We didn't even sit in and dive into that world and accept Spider-Man 2 is what it was, which, by the way, although I liked it, it was actually pretty disappointing overall, I have to say. I didn't love it as much as all the previous Spider-Man films, but anyway, I don't want to get into that. The point I'm trying to make is, in movies, it's very common to be thinking about the next step and the next step even before the current one comes out, and that's crazy. And I don't want us to start doing the same thing with video game consoles where a console comes out and within a couple of months it's like, all right, well, where's the PlayStation 5? Okay, well, where's the PlayStation 6? Like, dude, no, give them time. Let's, accept and enjoy these things. Mark Cerny's right. I know kind of a lot of fragmented ideas on this whole topic here, but it just kind of what goes in so many different places, and that's what happens when it's really more of a kind of, like I said, a theoretical sort of discussion about what people are talking about, what people think could, should, and may happen, and what I think should and may happen. Bottom line, in wrapping up, my main point is I know that the future is coming where we're not going to have physical boxes. I think it's a shame, but it's inevitable. Same with movies. We're not going to have Blu-ray discs in another couple of years maybe as well. Everything is going to be digital and streaming. It's going to suck, but that is the way it's going to be. But I don't think that it's as soon as some people are predicting. I agree with Mark Cerny and Sony here. I think that the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U, let's give them their 5-6 years or so to be awesome and be out and give us a bunch of entertainment. And then let's, accept and be excited for probably at least one more console generation from all three of those guys. Maybe even a new player with Valve and their Steam box coming out, and people talk if Apple would ever do something and whatever. So who knows what the next generation could bring. But you know what? Again, that's 5 or 6 years away. So let's not really start thinking about that yet. Let's, like I said, love our Wii U's, love our PlayStation 4s, and love our Xbox Ones, and just get on with the gaming. And so that's it for today. So that's my conversation and topic about the next generation. It sounds so weird to say it, the next generation, even though here it is 2014, and that's probably not going to be for another 5 years. But that's all that for today. Definitely curious to hear your guys' thoughts about what you think this quote and other people's theories and conversations really mean when talking about this current brand new generation and the idea of where the next generation could go and when that ends up coming. So, of course, if you like what I'm doing, you can feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review. Follow the links below to the Facebook page and the Twitter. If you like the video, please like and share it, and share your comments and your thoughts about the topic below. And that is all for today. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.